All right, guys, so today I'm going to talk about how to do a break-even analysis for your business. This is a simple calculation that I use to discover what my break-even is on a yearly, monthly, weekly, even daily basis for any of my businesses. When I've gone online to look at how to do a break-even analysis, it can be extremely confusing. So if you already have an established business that's been in business for at least 1 year, you can use this method. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Every break-even analysis is always going to be an estimation, but at least you can get a fairly good number to go off of, and that break-even number can be used for decision making. So for example, if you're in a business where you're operating out of your home and you want to see what your sales break-even number needs to be to move into a commercial space, you can use this equation. Or you have a pre-established business and you're looking at adding a new department that's going to add new salaries and increase your payroll, and you also need new equipment that you're going to need to pay for. You can plug this into the equation and you can forecast how much your sales need to be to break even. Of course, we always want to go back past the break even and in the green zone, but this is a great jumping off point to forecast what you need to do to be able to cover your expenses. So first I want to define fixed versus variable costs. Fixed costs, you can think of those stay the same no matter how much products and services you sell. So fixed costs are going to be rent. They're usually going to be salaries unless you're hiring new team members. They're typically going to be subscriptions. They're going to be insurance expenses. Variable costs, those are going to fluctuate as you do more or less business. So the most common variable cost is going to be cost of goods sold, supplies, fuel, credit card fees. Those typically go up along with your sales. One thing that makes break-even analysis complicated is if you have a business that offers multiple products and services. Like most of the businesses that we have, there's multiple products and services. The margins vary from one to the other. So this analysis basically averages all those products and services. Now, if you have a more simple business, or if you have a business that hasn't been established yet, you are going to want to use a different break-even method. The contribution margin break-even method is most likely going to be best for those situations. So now that we've defined the fixed versus variable, we are going to add up all of your fixed costs. So working on an annual basis, you can look at a P&L sheet either from QuickBooks or whatever system you use. If you need to break down all of the costs from your bank statement, you can, but ideally you look at all of your fixed expenses that were recorded through your business bank account by your accountant. So fixed expenses, we're going to add together, of course, rent, we're going to add together insurance, everything that would stay the same if you did more or less business. So once you have that number, write it down, and that's going to be your annual fixed expense. Then you want to make all of your variable costs expressions of your total sales. How do you do that? So like I said, the most common variable cost is cost of goods sold. So for this particular example, I am going to use $20K annual cost of goods sold and a total annual sales of $100,000. So that means that for every $100,000 in sales we do, on average, we're spending $20K on cost of goods sold. So the coefficient is going to be 0.2 for that specific variable cost. I'm going to do that for every variable cost I have in my business. And once you do this, every cost in your business should be allocated for. It's either going to fall in the fixed bucket or the variable cost bucket. So now I'm going to run the equation. For this specific example, our pseudo business is going to have two variable costs, which is going to be fuel and cost of goods sold, and then all of its fixed costs are going to be lumped here. The cost of goods sold are on average 20% of our overall sales, And our fuel cost, which is also a variable, is typically on average 5% of our overall sales. So this is how you would write the equation. Sales, which is X, equals fixed costs plus cost of goods sold, which is an expression of the total sales, plus fuel, which is also an expression of the total sales. Now, I really liked math, so this is a very simple equation for me, but you can always plug this into ChatGPT, and I'm also going to show you how to double check your work. So, X, we don't know yet, equals our fixed cost. We're going to make it 100,000, and then our cost of goods sold, that's 0.2x, plus our fuel, which is 0.05x. Once we work out the equation, our break-even sales point is $133,300. You can plug that number in here, and you can plug in the 133 for X. And this side of the equation should equal this side of the equation. Now again, this is a very simple equation. Most of our businesses are a little bit more complex than this. Always double check your work. Make sure you're running all of your numbers on the same scale. So if you're looking at monthly numbers, make sure you're only looking at monthly numbers. And if you're looking at annual numbers, make sure you're only looking at annual numbers. And always work backwards and double check your work. And be sure that you're including all of your expenses. All of your expenses should either be in one of two buckets. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or send me a direct message.